Thank you for calling 1-800-SAD-DESIGN. We're back here in person, and we're ready to kickstart episode 5. What things are you currently working on right now, Ty?
Nothing too big, I'd say. Yeah, design-wise, not a lot, really. I'm trying to do this little poster project thing, but I think that's really it. It's a couple other things that's not I'm in the early stages of. I'm just trying to see if it's even something I can do. Mainly something I can make, but besides that, that's it. Yeah, but what about you?
I've just been working on stuff for fun. This last week kind of was like, oh yeah, we have a podcast, we need to work on that. But those books that I talked about rebinding a couple episodes ago, I've been designing the covers for them, the vinyl that I'm going to cut out to go on those, and that's been taking a lot of time lately.
I mean, so far, they look good.
Yeah. And I think I might have mentioned last episode, the research paper's finally done, so I don't have any paid projects or freelance projects at the moment. So I've just been
it's nice little
doing whatever I want.
Nice little break,
Yeah.
I think it's good to have those breaks.
Yeah. Are they still keeping you pretty busy at work with your projects?
Not as busy as the last couple weeks. It's actually gone quite slow. I don't think anything new's really popped up, really. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to come in tomorrow with a couple things that'll be due by the end of the week. But I mean, I think it'll all be fine. So far, it's been pretty easy. It's kind of slowed down these past couple of weeks, so it's nice. But I mean, I'm still kind of busy with my own things.
Yeah, so. I get that.
So yeah.
Short and sweet current project check-in.
Yeah.
I think this week we wanted to start and kickstart the event line. Try to get people to start calling in to us.
I think it's a good kickstart for the actual category, but also a good kickstart to this episode.
Yeah, I think so too.
Hoping it'll boost some energy levels.
Yeah, we're very tired. We had a rough week. But while we don't have someone to, share a story with us today, we were just going to kind of use this beginning part of the episode to kind of vent ourselves.
Yeah, just talk about some of our great stories, great experiences.
Yeah. Do you have a story that you wanted to start with?
It happened probably a couple weeks ago. And it's just one of those generic stories where you are working on something for someone who doesn't really understand computers, file types, or just pretty much anything. And I was shocked mainly because the dude was pretty young, I'd say around the 30s. So he's been around computers, yeah. I'm sure. But he wanted us to make him some picture plaques. And we needed the pictures, obviously. And all the dude sends us is a Word document. And we're the first time I asked him, I was traditional, way of asking. It's just we can't really get that great of a quality from this document. Can you just send us the files? And then he goes and sends us, I don't have the image files. And my boss and I are but you put them in this Word document.
Yeah.
Where'd these images come from if you don't have the files? So then I was like, all right, whatever. He said we can just use the images from his Word doc. We sent him proofs. We zoomed in to show how bad they were. And then he approved it. So then I make them. He comes to pick them up, looks at them. He's like, these pictures look really bad. I was like,
yeah.
I told you that in the pictures and emails. He's like, it didn't look that bad on the emails. It looked pretty bad. I was like, I myself did not enjoy making them just because how bad it looked.
Yeah.
So then he was like, well, I'm going to go find a couple new images and can I send them back and you guys remake them? I was like, sure, you just have to pay for them again, essentially. So then he sends them and then he does the exact same thing. Sends it in a Word doc. We asked for the image file. I was like, I don't have them. And we're like,
Dude.
oh my God. I literally, like, I was getting so irritated that I just, whenever he called, I just gave the phone to my boss because I was like, he's way more nicer when it comes to stuff like this. But for me, it's like, oh my God.
I'd be like,
explained
you put
it.
them in the Word
I've
doc.
walked
Where
him
are
through
they?
it. And it's like, I told him, like, all the different image types you could possibly see on your phone. And so, yeah, it was driving me crazy. And then when he came to finally pick him up, I pretty much just left. Not like left, but like I just ran to go get some like supplies for another project we're working on, and then just let someone else because it's like when I looked at him, I just had a straight dead face, and I was like, "Dude, are you shitting me right now?" Like, yeah, and
Is
it's
this
like those.
real life? That's what
Yeah,
I always think sometimes. Is this real
it's
life?
it's those very few times where it just literally just like pissed me off, and I was like so ready. I just wanted to go home, and I was like, man, why?
Yeah.
And it's like I get it for us at least. It's kind of like common sense, but for others, it's not. But I mean, I would probably been reacted differently if it was someone who was a little bit older.
Yeah.
But for someone like relatively on the younger side, I was like,
You should know this.
oh like God damn it, dude.
I had something similar when I was working at the university. There was some department that was working with like another outside department for like Native American students, and they had this logo that they wanted on one of their deliverables, and they only had it in a Word doc. They didn't have it in any other format whatsoever. And I could not stand to use this logo because it was so blurry on like their brochure or whatever they wanted. So I ended up retracing the whole thing and like redoing it essentially. Damn. But they still wanted to use the image that was in the Word doc even after I redid it, like had a new vector for them and everything. And I was like, okay, I just wasted all that time because I couldn't stand how blurry it was. But
I've definitely had things like that too, where it's like they're like, "Oh, can you just give us a couple different designs?" And then we ask for their logos. Like, well, this is all we have.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, we can remake it so it looks a little cleaner. I'm like, okay, perfect. And then we spend like probably a whole like couple days just coming up with all these new designs for them and then doing their logo. And then we send it like, actually, we just like the one we ordered last time. And I'm like, oh my God, why do you even ask?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely, yeah, I guess another thing I've also noticed is a lot of people use the Microsoft apps as their design software. I once like laughed because I asked for like their original design file or whatever, and like, okay, yeah, we can send that over. And then I get a PowerPoint file. I was like, is this your design? But it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, when I was working on the research paper, they were sending me PowerPoints, and I was like, do you have just, like, the image? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need it in a PowerPoint. Just send me the image. And I also don't have the Word or, like, Microsoft.
Yeah. You have to open
all.
like, Google, and it doesn't translate everything.
And so when I was working on the research paper, too, they had this appendix chart at the end of the paper, and it was in Excel, and I couldn't edit it at all. And it made it really hard. Cause I'm like, I'm not gonna pay. I don't ever use it. I'm not gonna pay to get it. And my roommate had Excel, and I was like, can you do like these 2 changes for me and then send it back? And he's like, yeah, no problem. But it's just things like that.
Yeah.
You need more accessible, universal.
I know. Well, it's like, because for us at least, it's mainly like Illustrator, like we expect. Or, yeah, I mean, I personally, like, some people come in, they like, yeah, we have our designer and whatever. It's like, okay. I tell them the files, like, all we need is, like, SVG EPS files. PDFs. That's about it.
Yeah.
They write that down and then they send us like a JPEG. We're like, what happened? But I feel like there definitely needs to be some sort of like free. I mean, it's like Canva, Figma, stuff like that.
I mean, even
But I
Google
don't think a
does
lot of
all of that,
people.
but no one uses
Yeah,
the
no one
Google
uses it.
Workspace.
Yeah.
They may email in there, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like just people see it's like the Microsoft suite came first essentially, so it's like that's the professional thing. It's kind of like Adobe, I guess, and then anything else is like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And I think like the Google Drive stuff, it's like super easy to access. It's free. It's like cloud based, but for some reason they like don't want to use it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Files
other?
are hard.
Yeah, I think that's like a common
Yeah, that's
like
always an
problem.
issue. Every project
Trying
I've
to
ever
get-
worked on with other people, it's like files.
Yeah, and it's like you say what kind of file you want, then they send you the wrong one, and you're like,
Yeah, and
do you
or
not
even
have
like when
it?
you're working with other designers too, and we all have different ways of like organizing
Oh,
our working files.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about our first
I mean, it
branding
makes
file.
sense
It was such a mess.
when it's like, to me at least, it makes sense for stuff like that because it's like we're exploring ideas. So you're really
Got
just
to the
trying to
point where you
put,
couldn't even open it though.
yeah. Well, that's mainly because of all those effects, like
Yeah.
the green and I don't even know what you had on it, but I basically just deleted it so it could load faster. But I mean, like, I feel like there's the two types of designers: the ones who organize their layers and then the ones who don't. It's like
I always have the intention of organizing them, and
Yeah.
then everything ends up on the same one.
like at the beginning of a new file, I relatively organize. Like I have my grids and guides layer, and then the like ideation layer, and then all the final ones. But it's like when I'm starting a new project where it's like logos or illustration, like sticker ideas, mainly everything's just on one layer with like reference images and all the different ideas. Because for me, it's just I'm trying to put as many ideas that come to mind as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we were doing when we were doing like the logos and icons. So I get it.
Yeah.
But I've definitely had
And when
people
you get in
comment on
I
mine.
get in the zone too when I'm designing. Like honestly, I don't even realize how much time has passed. Like yesterday when I was just working on my book covers, like 12 hours later, literally, and I was still going. You just
You're like,
zone out. Everything's on the
sun's
same
down.
layer again, and
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
literally how it was. I was like, "What time is it?"
well, it's just like, well, especially with the time change, it feels so weird.
And it was
Like-
like dark at 4:00 now.
Yeah. Normally I like it, but I don't know why this year is like the first year where it's like it's just hitting different where I'm like I just feel when the sun's down I'm like, sun's down. This sucks.
Yeah.
And it might be because of like work. Because it's like this is the first year where normally it's like school, sun's down means like you can have fun, but after work it's like I just spent the whole like sunny day inside.
Yeah.
So
I feel that way too. Like when I'm at work, usually when it's dark, it means it's almost time to go home. So when I see it's dark outside, I'm like, I gotta go home. I'm like, wait, I still have 4 more
you look
hours.
at your watch, you're like, I'm not even halfway.
Yeah.
No.
And also when it's just dark, it's like my brain's like, it's time for bed.
Yeah.
And it's cold too, and I just want to hibernate.
Yeah.
That's all.
Like every time I leave and I go outside, it's like way colder than it was when I got there in the morning. I was like, what the hell? And it's like midday, it feels pretty fine. Like when the sun's out, it feels nice. But then once that sun goes down,
Yeah.
it's freezing. So
I'm not ready for coat weather.
I am. I'm not. I mean, I'm still wearing like shorts every day.
I don't know how you do it.
I mean, I'm ready. Yeah. I'm ready. But yeah. Do you have any more?
Vent stories?
Maybe that's not so related around files.
Not really. I mean, I guess I can vent a little about my current project I'm working on. Like the book covers, something I'm just struggling with at the moment. Kind of was talking to you a little bit about it before we started, but I kind of have these very classic, very thin line borders going around the outside of the book. And then there in the middle, there's going to be like a main illustration. But I feel like the main illustration I have right now is too thick compared to the very fine line borders. And so I'm like struggling with finding that balance, especially since it's getting cut out on vinyl. Like making it so it's still functional but not too detailed where it's just like absolutely impossible to weed or see visually on the final product. So
I mean, maybe something that you just maybe instead of changing those illustrations, you kind of just touch up the borders a little bit.
Maybe thicken it
them
up slightly.
Just because I think those thin paths when it like cuts one line and then cuts the other line, it might like.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna run a test later too to see how it's like looking.
I think it's definitely a good test, especially if it's like you're using the foil.
Yeah,
It might look a little different with like the reflections and stuff once it's on a surface.
I think I just need to like print it out too and see the size of it in person. It's true to size because you get looking at the computer screen and you can't really tell. You're like, yeah, that looks thick enough, but it might not be.
Yeah, I mean it's just like, yeah, whenever you're looking at screen, like even though you like scale it to 100%, it's like if you're working large format.
Yeah.
The 100% is too much, so it's always best to just print it. But like,
I feel like this screen is like pretty true to size, but the other screen I normally work on is like enormous. So I'm like,
yeah,
looking at it and it's like right in front of my face.
Yeah, I always feel like test prints are just. It's always good to test it before you permanently put it onto something.
Yeah, this is just part of the process, but yeah, that's just my current like struggle. Because, like, I literally spent 12 hours working on them yesterday, and I was like, dang it, it's not working the way I want it to.
That's crazy.
And then I, like, went to bed, and I couldn't sleep because all I could think about was, how am I going to fix this?
Oh, I hate it when that happens, mainly because it's, like, sometimes I get irritated working on something because it's, like, doesn't look the way I want it, where I'm just like, all right, I'm going to take a break, which means I'm just going to go to bed. And then I just stare at the ceiling like, what could I do to make it work? And yeah, I don't like that because it keeps me awake. And then when you wake up in the morning, you're like, do I have any new ideas?
Yeah. I sometimes get in these very like obsessive modes. Like I can't stop doing whatever I'm doing until it's complete. So like I will literally think about it and see what I could do with it, like just continually until I can finish it.
I think I'm the opposite.
That's where I'm at right now with this. I'm like, I just want it done.
I think for me, it's like as much as I do want it done, I also want it to be like completed the way that I want it to. So it's like, if it's really like something I can't figure out, I'll probably just take a break.
Yeah.
And come back. Because sometimes it's like, if you're looking at the same thing for hours, it's like no new ideas can really come up because it's just, you're just thinking about what's there already.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just look around, like take a break, look around. It's like, what else could I do?
Yeah. And it's not like I'm rushing to like get it done or anything. I just want it.
You just want to see
perfect,
like,
and I want to see it in its final form. And I don't know. I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble when we're done recording because I need to get a gift for someone, and also I think I'm gonna go stroll around and just kind of
Look
get
into
some inspiration. See if there's any covers that are similar or that have that classic border and kind of what they put inside of it or how they went about more fine line illustration or something. So I'll go wander around.
I wonder what kind of books would normally have that kind of styled look.
I'm thinking like the classics.
I feel like
or maybe like
the original
yeah,
like binding books, you know? 'Cause you know, like they redesign covers.
oh yeah,
and it's like more for today's age, but sometimes when it's like people are like, yeah, I've got the first edition book from 18 whatever,
yeah.
and it's just like in a plastic bag, and if you pull it out, it'll just like disintegrate.
That's kind of where I got the inspiration for the fine line borders, was like those old like leather bound books, like,
Yeah.
with the gold foiling. And I was like, I'm getting gold foil vinyl to put on them, so I was like,
You might be better off just going to like a library and looking at all their like
yeah, that's true.
historic books, because I know they got some pretty old books there, like those large
All the ones
encyclopedia things or whatever.
Yeah. All the ones I am thinking of that I have seen with the leather bound with like the gold foil, they don't really have like an illustration in the middle like I'm doing. They're usually just like the text.
I think it's because when they made it too, it was a lot harder.
Yeah, they were also struggling with how to balance that. But
yeah, it's more just like the old style, but with a modern touch.
yes.
Yeah, I'd say definitely I've done something like that with my books, but I didn't make them too complex.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like to go above and beyond.
Yeah. Yes, you do. I try to, but I also like kind of know. I feel like it's like I kind of know my limits a little bit. Yeah. And it's like I don't want to
big ideas that I can never execute.
Yeah, well, my thing is like I don't want to say I can do something and then I get to a point and it's like, oh, because I just hate that feeling.
Yeah.
Like, and I've definitely ran into many times like that, and it's like, and I was like, oh, the feeling in general just sucks because it's like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've been reading this book religiously while working on the design of books.
Is that just for covers or like
it does
the
covers
bodies?
And like typesetting and everything on the inside as well, and also digital versus physical, like ebooks, like typesetting for ebooks and stuff too.
Is it different? I thought it was just
yeah.
I thought I don't really read ebooks, because I guess it's like when I think of ebooks, I think of like the Kindles.
Yeah.
Where it's like just one page. So is it still like left aligned on those?
It's just, smaller scale, different point sizes, are used for phones versus actual textbooks. And
interesting.
Yeah. This is by Debbie Byrne. Good book.
What was that noise?
Something made a noise. Was it the camera? We're going to have to take a pause for a second here.
What is it now? Okay. Will this work? I mean, it should work.
We good?
Yes, I think we're good now.
All right. Sorry, we were experiencing technical difficulties. Words.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what the heck's going on. But, figured it all out.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back now.
So we're going to restart our design talk of the day.
Yes.
We are going to talk about functionality versus aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to start with posters again?
Yeah. So I can't remember exactly what I said, but basically it was just saying how posters, you have the aesthetic posters, which is like, I feel like what most people make, where it's more just for the design and how nice it looks rather than the like more informational ones, like flyers, movie posters, stuff like that. I mean, even movie posters, it's a little bit of both. But I mean, they're still trying to get some information,
Yeah.
like who's in it, the name of the movie, release date, directors, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's different considerations when you have an informational poster. And you
Yeah.
have to make sure, like, the main point is getting across, depending on what it is. Like, for a movie poster, the main thing you want the audience to know is, what is the movie? So you want the title to probably be the biggest thing on there. And probably the next biggest thing is, when is it coming out?
Yeah.
Just to make that connection of that date to the title, you know, that they go together.
Yeah, and I mean...
And then all the other information, like the directors and actors, are usually pretty small.
Yeah, they have like
They're
that super like
compared to the
grade text at the bottom where it's just
yeah.
like director, producer, whatever, all that. So yeah, those are definitely more the functional ones. I know all the posters I make are more for aesthetic. Like normally there's no meaning in there at all.
Yeah.
It's literally just an idea popped up in my head. Most of the time it's because I thought it was funny and then I make it and
yeah, I've been doing the same thing with like the font of the weeks, like up
yeah,
there, like it's just been for fun. Like I kind of do them based on mood too. Like
yeah,
I'm feeling like this today, or I find like this one image or this one font I really like, and I base everything around that one idea, and that's more for aesthetic. It's not really serving a purpose, but you know, it was for my own experimentation and enjoyment.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's like it doesn't always have to be like there doesn't always have to be a meaning to your design, you know. Like I don't know how much I feel like more stuff I make is more on the aesthetic side.
I think so too for me.
I think that also is because though it's like you're not working for anyone, so like
that is true.
Like there's but yeah, I think most of the stuff I made, like that painting scribbly thing, that, I mean, there is meaning behind it, but it's like, it's all for fun.
All for fun, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Another thing I think about with functionality and aesthetics is like UX apps, websites, those sorts of things. And there's like that huge balance between doing something that's functional for a wider user than just how it visually is appealing. And we both worked on projects in class where we had to design apps, and there was a lot of considerations going into that. I think all of us kind of had this big idea of how we wanted it to look and function, but the way it visually functioned in our heads was different than what it came across as, and it's always different when you put it in the hands of someone who has no experience with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense to us because we designed it, came up with it, made it, but to someone else it could mean something completely different.
Yeah. I think I feel like with UI and UX designers, it's just I don't know how at all they think, but sometimes it might be like they just have high expectations of all users to like know exactly what they intended it for, but then they get all these like comments back about saying like, where is this thing? Why is it gone? And then it's like they have like it hidden in some setting, or it's like just a super technical like change, and it was totally unnecessary, but it's like they just wanted to do it, I guess. I don't know.
And it's something you always got to change gradually too, and it comes with functionality too. You can't just, especially with user experience, just upend the whole thing and then put it in front of your user and expect them to know how to use it.
Yeah, I think I'm not too sure, but it's like something that like developers may do is they would like not so much copy it, but kind of like reference or use like another popular app or website as a reference for theirs. Because it's like everyone knows Instagram. Like almost everyone uses it, and it's like I feel like a lot of newer like app people might try to like base it off of that, at least with like the way it functions.
Yeah.
Because I definitely took that for the Perfect Plate app, mainly because it's like, I don't really know much about app design or all that, so it's like I don't know what would be the best like layout for all these different tabs essentially.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And with my project I did Cultivate, the gardening app, it was like this idea that there would be mentors teaching students how to grow plants and stuff, and we thought there would be kind of like an older and a younger user base. So we were like, we want to appeal to both sides of that. Mm-hmm. And so we were like trying to make everything instructions very clear, very big, bold buttons, but also making it very fun, kind of trendy at the same time. And it was hard kind of finding that balance between the two.
Yeah, I feel like I don't even know if I've seen this, or I don't even know why I'm thinking of it, but I feel like there are some developers who have like different interface modes where you can change it, where it's like, use this interface if you're older and not so confident with technology, and then it's like, use this one if you're younger. And
I'm sure they do have something like that.
Yeah, it might just be like a secret thing where, like for computers, I mean, it'd be funny if they did, but it's like computers, you put in all your information and it's like, oh, you're older, so we'll default some of these settings for you. I don't think they do that.
I mean, even like phones have that function where you can switch it into, what is it called, like easy mode or something like that, and it makes everything really big and like limits the
I know you can like change it, but I didn't know it was like,
I think it is on Apple at least. But yeah, it makes all, the words bigger, the app like buttons bigger and everything, and it also like limits some of the functions. Just like the base minimum of what you need to work the phone, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I know about the larger text because it's like whenever I look at my grandparents' phones, it's like, whoa. And it's
the whole world can read your text message.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's like, I find it harder to read because it's like less words per line. So sometimes it's like 2 words per line, and it's like you read so slow.
Yeah.
It's like line, scroll up, line. So, but it's like, I get it.
We don't have trouble reading yet.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I do most of the time, but not yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, I do think like when it comes to UI UX design, it's definitely like you have to think about your audience, your consumers, but then you also have to think about the functions that you want to add into there.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when they do these changes, it's like new changes that have never been seen before. But if no one has ever seen it, then when you get into it, it's like, how do I use this thing?
Yeah.
So.
And how do you keep like the functionality of every like app like universal, but also differentiate yourself from other, apps and platforms and, all those sorts of things?
I think it's very like similar to how Apple's their like iOS is their private software operating system, and then you have Android, which is for every single other like brand phone, and it's always like everyone's talking smack how Apple's so late, but it's like because they don't have as many developers as Android, is at least what I'm thinking, because it's like I don't do any of this research, so I'm just purely guessing, but I'm guessing like each phone company has their own like software developers, because each phone has a different version of Android, basically. Like Samsung has their version, and then Google has like their Google version, which I think is still Android. But then Apple's just theirs. So it's like, I think that's why they're always late to these new like software changes. But then it's also like when they make these slight changes, sometimes it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I liked it the way it is. Like, it's like how you were saying how they changed photos or something, where it's like it looks super different. It's harder to find albums or certain photos.
Yeah. And there's also trends, like just design trends, media trends, just in general trends can change how functionality and rules, expectations, just like work in general. So I think that's why like Apple thinks it's doing something great by offering this new change to their software, and because they're following this new trend or this new idea. But for a user who's not as caught up with those, trends and moving forward, it could be just very big and, a big challenge to overcome.
Yeah. I think with Apple, I think they like to consider the aesthetic more, but they're like also still thinking of like functionality of everything. But I know there's always like at least one big problem with either their software or hardware, where it's like, why did you put this here when it could have gone somewhere else? Or it's like, why did you even include this or change it when it was perfectly fine before? Like, you could have just updated the overall look of it, but not changed how it works.
I feel like with some of their recent updates too, they're kind of like duplicating like where to find things, because like I have found like new menus on top of menus and accidentally click something else, but it's like the flashlight, but the flashlight's also over here, and I'm like, this is unnecessary.
Well,
and also, how did I get to this other page that I accidentally clicked on like within the menu? And I
know they have like all their different shortcuts and stuff, and one thing I know a lot of people are talking about is like with the new phones they have that camera button, but they're like, you could literally just from the home screen just use that thing on the corner, like slide it open or whatever, and you're already at the camera.
Yeah.
So, and then it's like they now have like that shortcut button on the side where it's like if you click it, you can also open up the camera. So it's like you can have 5 buttons, 5 like not physical
interactions to open the camera.
To open up a camera. It's like, and I get it. It's like that's the people who are just hating on Apple. And it's like, I get it, but it's
a little much.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
And like, I feel like everyone has their, like, you may have 5 different ways, but you'll have your one way that you do every single time, no matter what.
Yeah, like, I feel like I'm so used to
we are all creatures of habit, like.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like to quickly open my camera and take a quick photo. It's like, for me, it's just the bottom right, and I just slide it open.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with like the new iPhones, it's like there's no point of having that anymore because you can just hit the button and then you can have like another option. But it's like, what else do you need to quickly access besides a flashlight or a camera?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can't think of any. I mean, I don't know. So it's just interesting.
Moving away from UX UI design, I just thought of the research paper I just finished and how like functionality and aesthetic considerations I had to think about with that. I was thinking about just like research papers in general. They're so boring,
Yeah.
I can never read them either because they're always margin to margin. Like,
yeah, and that's always like pretty bland, right?
Yeah.
Like just a text document.
Whole text block, no color whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, my brain just doesn't work that way. I can't just like read something straight like that in that context and just understand it. And also like the very long lines of text, like there's like 20 words in a line on a research document, and that is way too long. So I was like, with the research paper I just did, I feel like the genius idea to shorten it to like 8 to 12 words per line and have like a really big right margin where I could do pull quotes and other statistical information from the document on that side, but also it leaves a space for like a reader to take notes and like annotate the text and everything. And it was just a lot easier to digest that way too. There was more like breathing room, I feel like, with the content. And that was, I feel like, as aesthetics and functionality like coming together and creating something, that really worked.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with research papers, like they're putting in this research for a reason, and it's like, I'm assuming it's for like the people to actually read and look through it. But then it's just like boring text documents, and people open it. They're like, oh, I'll give this a read, and they're like, oh, it's like not eye catching.
Yeah.
They just think it's like some sort of essay. So I think for making it like a little more eye catching and entertaining, I guess, I think it would be better to get that outreach that they're doing all this research for.
Exactly. And I think more people will read it and hopefully learn something. And even if they don't read the whole thing all the way through, there's still all that poll information on the side where you could just read that and get the gist and understand it. Like,
yeah, there's definitely like people out there who will read it all to get every like speck of information. But then there's the other people who they're like interested in it, but not interested enough to learn about it all. So they just want to know about like the main things to be looking for.
Yeah, what's the highlights? What's the bullet points? You know, that's what that side information is for.
So yeah, I think that's good. I think it's
And I've never seen a research paper formatted the way I did it, and I was very glad that they, let me do it that way too.
I'm sure they
because
were
I was like, if I was researching, if I found a research paper that looked like this, I wouldn't mind doing research. Like,
yeah, I'm sure that's kind of like why they reached out to you. It's because it's like we don't want this to be boring. We want it to like look nice, and be like well presented. Because it's like they probably could have just taken all their text and graphs and just drop it in a Word doc and then call it there.
And do the typical like APA format.
Yeah.
And like every other research paper on the planet.
Like every single research paper that comes out of a school. And it's like so boring. Just black and white.
I lose myself about page 2 and I'm like, where am I at? What am I reading?
By page 3, you're like, I don't want to really finish this.
How many pages do I have? 50?
Yeah. Yeah, especially when it comes to like the longer stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I'm sure there's more to talk about. But I can't think of anything right now.
That's all right. I think we got pretty good talk about functionality and aesthetic. We can move on to the font of the week if you'd like. Yeah?
Sure.
So last week we chose Chillax as the font of the week, which is more of like a body kind of copy since we were choosing just display after display typeface. And so messing with that a little bit more. But it was still very funky, and I think I still kind of used it as a display at one point in my little design, but
it had like, based on what I remember, it had like characteristics that looked like Bauhaus.
Yeah, it does.
But Bauhaus and body copy I don't think it looks that great. But this one, it looks a little bit better. I think there's like those weird ink trap looking things, and they're not as noticeable. So when it's smaller and in a body copy, it looks fine. But I think it definitely is only used in certain situations, but it can definitely be used as a display and body copy.
Yeah, I kind of used it as both. It was very geometric too, which I liked.
Yeah, and I mean, we did do this literally last minute.
I got here today and sat down and started working on my font of the week because I was like, I forgot.
Yeah.
And then Ty was like, I also forgot. So we just sat here for 20 minutes and put together a little font of the week.
Quick little design and called it good.
Hey, they turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
For a 20-minute exercise.
Yeah, for 20 minutes, I think it's pretty good. I do need... yeah, it's not popping up on my... Oh, it is now. Jesus. I'm gonna mute that.
Getting all the notifications right now.
Yeah. You want to go over yours first?
Sure. Because it was very... Chillax is very geometric. It kind of gave me, like, groovy retro disco vibes. So I kind of went with that, and I created this, like, disco party poster. I don't know. it was just very random. Through a lot of, it's very like monotone in color. It's just like pink and purple.
It's like around that one hue.
Yeah. Put some grain on it, but I used Chillax both as like copy at the bottom for like the date of this said pretend disco party, and like at the top as kind of like a banner as a more display. The very top typeface is not Chillax on it. That says Disco Fever. It's, I think, it's from the Brandon Nickerson studio. It's called Binder. But it kind of had some of the similar characteristics to Chillax. So I paired it with that. Added some grain. Yeah. It's very fun.
Yeah. Looks very nice.
Colorful. I don't usually use these kinds of colors.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't look like something that I would have like seen you make in like from my classes. But it looks good. Experimenting new styles.
Exactly. And that was kind of a goal too. I was like, I do sometimes feel like I fall into I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So like, step out, do something new.
Yeah, I've definitely tried. I mean, I don't think with this one. I think this one's pretty much like similar to how I sometimes work. But I mean, yeah. But yeah, it looks nice. I think the little like texturing, those dots on it definitely like helps it. Because if not, it would just seem like very vectory. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if too clean or what. But it would just look off. You know, it's like
I agree.
It needs something else to kind of like give it that feel. But yeah, I dig it. It's like 80s, 90s vibes.
Yeah, it's kind of like a conglomeration of like everything. Like, I don't know. It's very random.
Well, those
it's
lines.
20-minute. I just found some,
yeah,
vector images that I liked. And we're like, yeah, I like that. Those kind of pair.
I feel like those lines in the back and maybe the stars give like the 90s feel. But then, like, Disco Ball, the picture of the lady with the record, and maybe the colors can give a little bit of an 80s, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like right in that middle spot.
I get it.
But yeah, I dig it.
What did you do?
For mine, I just did quotes. I just searched a graphic design quote, mainly because it's just like super quick. So I literally searched graphic design quotes, picked like first or second link, and then picked the first quote.
Yeah.
And then, so I just did this one. So the quote from, I don't know who he is, but his name is Milton Glaser, I think, or Glasser. His quote is, "There are 3 responses to a piece of design. Yes, no, and wow. Wow is the one to aim for." And then I just did kind of like my response to the quote, but I put it as if it's a quote. But I just did, my 3 responses are damn, I don't know, and assist perfect. And those are pretty much
definitely
like
my all of those responses from you before.
Yeah. Those are definitely my 3 go-to responses. Like, damn is like I like it, like, yes, nice. And then the I don't know is just like me being like, I don't know, like, I like it, but there's something else that needs a little more. And then the es ist perfect is German for it is perfect. Yeah. And I either say the full thing or I just say perfect because it's like perfect. That's it. It doesn't need any more.
I like the like text boxes you did around the.
I want it to be like very comic-y.
Yeah, it definitely matches that energy for sure.
Well, the halftone for the audio listeners, there's a background and it's a halftone with like a duotone blue and it's just a picture of a Chicago dog. I wanted to like make it so it's like you have to like really look at it to understand. I don't think I've really done it with this one. But I mean, it's fine. I like it.
I like it too. Yeah, very comic booky.
Yeah.
The type very much matches.
Yeah. I definitely wanted like this look. Like this is something I've always wanted to like go in depth more of, but figure out like halftones the way I kind of like want it to look is very like tricky, especially Photoshop. I have like no understanding of all the like layers and filters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, I like it.
Probably gonna print them. I'll print both of them probably.
You'll print both of them. We need stuff to fill the
I know.
frames on the wall now.
Well, I was just buying them because it's like I wanted to paint it, and I only painted the one. And I was like, I like it.
Like doing all the different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna get more to fill the rest of the?
Yeah. Like I wanted to do purple, but I went to go look for purple, and they don't really have any nice like poppy purples.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, this sucks. So it's like I had to pick between kind of like a muted purple or like a nice lavender. So, but I have an orange. I want to do an orange.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, it kind of just depends on the poster that goes in it.
We need like the middle one needs to be a sad design poster, I think.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be the recent one.
I don't know. We'll figure it
We'll
out.
figure it out. We got, we got time.
Yeah. But Chillax was a very fun little exercise. It's a fun font. I
It
actually
was
think
variable too.
Yeah.
You don't get those for free very often.
No. And I like those. I definitely see myself using it again. It's not one that's like one and done.
Yeah.
We all have those.
Yeah, some of those really are one and done.
For next week's font of the week, we chose Contempora on Adobe Fonts. And it's a sans and a script. Like, family duo.
It's like Salo.
Yeah.
But one script and one sans.
Yes.
And
We
yeah, the
like
examples
choosing
they
these
have.
because it's like very fun to see like what you can pair together.
Well, it's like it'd be. I think for this one, I'm gonna try to make like an interesting design where it's only using the sans and the script, because it'd be just like nice to see how they both look when it's only those two. Like there might be some supporting text in a different typeface, but I mean,
I don't use script fonts very often either.
I only
they're
use it
very
for like at work.
Yeah.
Never personal. Well, there is one that I use for some personal work, but yeah, very rarely I'll use them.
Yeah, and that font's by designer Elena Genova, and it's very cool.
Yeah.
I almost chose it actually to go on the book covers I'm working on right now.
Really?
Yeah, the sans, but then I found something else that I liked better. But
Yeah.
it was a contender there for a minute.
I know. Well, it's always like with some of these fonts of the weeks, is we find it was like, this might work with
Yeah.
what I'm working on right now. And then sometimes it's like, nah.
I feel like every project I work on has to have a new font. Like, I
Yeah.
can't ever reuse stuff. Like, obviously I use like my go-to is like Montserrat for like body and stuff, but for the most part I'm like can't reuse anything.
I don't know why, but it's like I feel bad or like guilty reusing one.
Yeah.
But it's really like you shouldn't, because it's like,
Yeah.
like if it's for
that
our
constant
classwork
thing
stuff.
where it's like I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I want to branch out. I don't want to do the same style. So it's like
Part of me
I
is
don't want
always
it to be
like,
too similar.
I still want to like explore, new typefaces, new styles. Because it's like I'm not yet at that point where I'm locked in on a certain style, and that's what
I'm not
design in forever. So, yeah, I always search for new typefaces, but I always hate how long it takes.
Yeah.
Like, it takes hours, I say, just to find one. I was like, man.
And finding sometimes fonts that pair together well
Oh, that's
takes
also
even
rough.
longer.
That's all. Yeah, especially if it's like
Because
you
there's
want to
some
match.
that I feel like don't go with anything.
Yeah, but it's also like if you want to get really technical, you match all the heights. Oh my god, that takes too long.
Yeah.
Like having to add them or download them and then like do all those measurement things.
Mm-hmm. No.
I've done it once and I was like, nah, this ain't it.
Yeah.
So yeah, most of the time I never like mix text in a line. It's always just display face, body copy. That's it.
Yeah.
Most of the time the body copy is like a super family too. For just like more options.
That's very nice. I like, especially when you have a big project, finding families that go together, especially when you need things like italics, bolds, and, you know, it's just very nice to have a whole selection.
Especially because it's like, most of the time those ones are like well made as well, so you don't really have to like do the minor like kerning adjustments, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true too. I hate doing that.
Yeah. Well, I hate it when it's like you just make something for fun and then someone comments on it. It's like, that space is a little too much. I was like, well, I already made it, so
Yeah.
too bad. But yeah.
I hate when the kerning too is also just like so close together and you're like,
Yeah.
there's no breathing room.
Yeah, it's rough. And sometimes it's like I download some and I think they're like professionally made or whatever, but then you like start typing and it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've realized even with the one we use for the podcast, Forma,
It's
a little
very
close.
I always
yeah, I
add a
realized
little
on the last
kerning.
template recap I did, I was like, ooh,
It's very
it's
close.
a little close.
Yeah.
I should have spaced that apart.
I like give it like 25 to 50 sometimes because it's like sometimes when it's like super small, I'm like, well,
yeah, when it's big, it looks
when it's
fine.
big, it looks fine, but
when it's
tiny,
small, like it was on the recap,
yeah.
it was, and I think the colors made a difference too because I didn't realize it as much on the other two on the same template, the last two episodes, because the colors I think contrasted a little bit more than the ones on the episode 4 recap, and so that's when I noticed that they were just like on top of each other.
Yeah, well, it's especially when you get to like I's, L's, the J, all that.
Yeah,
it's like really close.
You have L and K back to back too, and it's like they're connected.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed about that is like if you look at the actual letter forms, the like stems, whatever they're called, it's like not a straight line.
Yeah.
It's like it like goes in and out like I don't even know.
Something.
Something. And I was like, you can't even tell when it's large or small.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's interesting. But it makes it different, I guess.
Always a consideration.
Yeah. But yeah, I know. For almost all my stuff now, it's like I always add a little extra because it's like it's a little tight.
Yeah, I always like more room than too little.
Yeah. Yeah. So just because it's like
it starts to feel too crowded when it's all close together.
And if you're looking far away, like for me,
it disappears.
Well, yeah, like even with my glasses, like sometimes I can't really read text, but it's like if I didn't have my glasses on, I was pretty far away. It'd probably just look like a blob. And I was like, well, it's not great, you know? So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I think Contempora will be a fun little exercise with the script.
I think so too. I'm hoping. I say hope, but I think I should. I don't know. But I'm going to try.
We are going to do it this week, not 20
Yeah.
minutes before we start the episode.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it at least like the Saturday before, but I'll be ready.
We'll be busy.
Yeah, I'll definitely be ready.
Work's been something else.
Yeah. For you or like?
Just, I think for both of us in general.
Yeah.
I mean, I just always have the problem of I work at night and I want to be a morning person, but because I work at night, I just like sleep until 10 and I can't do that.
I know. I try to be a morning person. Like I don't really like staying up late, but it's like I don't like to wake up early. I don't know. But I'm starting to wake like I think the past week maybe I'm like consistently waking up at like 7.
That's nice.
So I think that's pretty good.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
When I get home from work, just go straight to bed so I can wake up early.
But my thing is like it's so cold sometimes in the morning where I just stay in bed. Like I'm awake, but I'm just like scrolling through Instagram, watching YouTube, whatever. Like in the summers, I was like, I wake up, it's cooler in the morning, so I do all my activities, and then during the day.
But in the winter, it's different. I understand.
It's like the opposite.
Yeah. Like especially I said earlier, I just want to hibernate in the winter when it's dark and cold. Like, goodbye. See you in the spring.
Yeah, if only that were so.
Yeah.
I do wish it was like you work during the night, but then it's like that means you sleep during the day, and it's like I just wish there was some sort of change where you can actually enjoy the daylight instead of like getting out of work and pitch black.
It's like I go to work, it's dark. I come home from work, it's dark. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's time for our Patreon reminder. Please go support us on Patreon.
Yes. We're hoping to have some. I don't know when. We said
by the holidays, I think we were thinking.
Yeah. By the holidays, we're hoping to get like
a little Christmas present.
Yeah, the first sticker pack out. We kind of like got most of the designs kind of like done, relatively ready, and then we're kind of just working on like how we're gonna package it, and then so we're hoping around the holiday time as a little gift.
Yes.
So.
And all proceeds made on Patreon go towards the podcast. So anything you'd like to see, please let us know. Also, go join our Discord server where you can connect with other designers. I share the font of the week in there too directly. So if you want a link to that, or share your font of the week in there as well, so we can talk about it in the next episode. Be pretty cool too.
Yeah. Share some stories.
Yes, get the vent line started.
Do you have any trauma?
Yeah, what's a project that's giving you hell right now?
Yeah.
I want to hear about it.
Or even just like what you're working on.
Yeah.
You know, good or bad.
I agree.
And then you can just get.
Yeah, it doesn't all have to be stressful.
Yeah.
This is a happy place too.
Yeah. It's a place to vent out your problems, but also be happy.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And as always, Instagram recap of the episode will be posted same time it's released, where you can find the things we talked about in the episode. So our font of the week pictures, next week's font of the week, and
other stuff we might have talked about.
I think that was pretty much it for this week.
I think so.
But it just varies week to week.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on?
I don't think so.
Good?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to 1-800-SAD-DESIGN. Until next time, keep designing, stay inspired, and dial into design. Bye.
Bye.